Hey there. This feels weird.
Hey,
It's like it's been a while.
it has been a while, and I apologize to everyone.
David's
I
here.
am a little slow on the screen today. I don't know what's happening. We had some technical issues we were trying to work through. So,
Yep, it's okay. We're gonna do it. And David, hello, thank you. It's been a while. I took a break. Chris didn't take a break, but I took a break with some family stuff, moving. It seems like I wanted to add everything that's a big stressor in your life all in 1 month.
hey,
And
you
now
got
things are
through it,
settling in.
and now you're on the
Yep.
other side.
Yep. And then there's yes, and it's all good. However, for a while there, a few things had to come off my plate. So I'm glad that we're
Hmm.
back live.
Me too.
And I know Phil's trying to figure out how to get to hop on in. So hopefully Phil will figure it out. Um, I'll watch my phone. All right. So money, savings, things have changed for me around that with selling a home, buying a home, and having somebody that I trust in my corner is has been and is crucial because I don't always want to believe what I think.
Hmm. Mean by that?
What do I mean by that? I don't always want to believe what I think. I don't want
Hmm.
anybody to always believe what they think because sometimes what we think is what gets us in the way, or sometimes what we think is what gets us into trouble, right? Um, Sometimes it's good to have somebody show us another perspective. So I don't always
True.
want to
Which
believe what
is,
I think.
yeah. And the funny thing is, okay, let me ask you this: if you are selling your house and you have project that needs to get fixed before you sell it, what are you going to do? You're going to go and get a quote from one person,
Depends on the project, but typically I get more than one quote.
right?
Yep.
If you go to the doctor and you have a sickness or you have some surgery that needs to happen, and it's going to be like a life altering surgery or it's a really, really serious
Mm-hmm.
sickness, are you only going to get one opinion for that?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So the same thing happens when it comes to running your business, right? That's why you need a coach to give a different perspective. And when it comes to your money as well, you can get stuck in the way that you
Yep.
think. You can get stuck in the, wrong mindset, the right mindset, whatever you want to call it. You can be completely blind to other things that can happen or other things that you can do.
Right. Exactly. So I'll give you a quick story that has nothing, it doesn't have a lot to do with money, but a little bit about money. And I love what David said, by the way. Like, do you need sunscreen? Yes. He's in Oceanside, California, and he needs sunscreen, David. Um, so I was driving my U-Haul by myself, through California, and there's an area called the Grapevine. So you go up and over a hill, and on the other side, I stop, I get dinner, I do a 2 mile walk, I fill up my U-Haul with $200 worth of gas, get a good night's sleep. I'm in my U-Haul at 5 a.m. No gas. Someone had siphoned it out. I was so angry. I was almost in tears angry. How could somebody do that? So fortunately, the gas station was right next to the hotel. So it scooted in, got another $200 worth of gas, and went on my way. And I spent half the day angry, just violated angry. So anyway, a couple days go by. I go return the U-Haul in Oregon, and the lady behind the counter, says, "How was your trip?" And I said, "I was all good, other than somebody siphoning out $200 worth of gas out of my truck." And she's like, "Tanya, consider yourself lucky. 1 out of 3 U-Hauls that come in here, someone punctures a hole in the gas tank and takes the gas that way because it's easier. So you're lucky." So now I'm flipping my narrative. I'm lucky because sure, I could have been there for 2 days waiting for somebody to bring me a U-Haul replacement, hiring some guys to move my stuff from one truck to another, staying in a hotel in the middle of nowhere. And, so yeah, and all in all, I guess another way to look at it is that I was lucky. So sometimes it takes somebody else
Yep.
to help you see something different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you experience in that is you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
Right? You don't know U-Hauls. You don't know the stories of things that happen in U-Hauls. You just know your experience. Last time you got a U-Haul, you filled it up with gas, you took it to wherever you were going, you unloaded it, and you returned it, and you had no problems because you were moving from Oceanside to Oceanside or
Right.
Carlsbad to
Yeah.
Oceanside. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you were going on a multi-day trip, you didn't know this was something that was happening, and you needed someone that did know to be able to give you that new perspective.
Right.
So the great lesson there is that you don't know what's out there. You're not the expert on U-Hauls. You're not the
Thank
expert
God.
you're not the expert on building a pool,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
You're the expert on building your business. I'm the expert on finances. And so what you do is you recruit a team, and you have a team that can help you in every aspect to have a different perspective and teach you what you don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. And Tanya Bugby tends to learn her lessons the hard way. So now I know next time, because there probably will be a next time that I'm driving a U-Haul, even though I keep saying it's never going to happen again. I suspect it will. And I will not fill up my gas tank at night. I'll let it stay empty till the morning.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Well, David, you're in Texas,
So
right? So you're looking at 4 gallon in California, $200 is 4 gallons of gas. Well, not quite, but close. Put it in the chat, David, what you pay in Texas for gas. I know in Oregon, we're almost exactly $1 less. What are you paying today right
that's
now,
nice.
Chris? Do you know?
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I
I
think.
haven't filled up in a while.
Yeah.
Last time I filled up, I think it was close to 4, just under 4.
Yeah, and it's like at 3 in Oregon. So it's, again, we don't pay as many taxes as you do. So speaking about money, so what kind of advice would you give somebody?
Well,
I know we have a lag. So what advice would you give somebody like me after you sell a home, buy a home, and there's a little bit extra? There's like a little extra cushion, and I know that's a big question. Okay, David says 269. I wish I hadn't asked. There you go. Yeah. So what advice would you give somebody like me who sold a home, bought a home, and there's a little bit of a cushion? I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? And my brain is not going to say, go play or go on vacation. I want to do something smarter with this little cushion.
Yeah. And here's the thing, everyone's scenario, everyone's situation is different, right? But so I'm going to give more of a blanket advice piece is it depends on what your cushion is, how much that means to you, what a little cushion means, right? It depends what you've already got going on. Depends if there's any hole in your financial plan that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
So the first thing is to realize where you are, like what is occurring now that the house has been sold, the new one has been bought, you have X amount of dollars. How is your financial plan? How has it changed? What's different? What's new? And you want to figure out where you are.
Yeah.
Once you figure out where you are and you know what the original financial plan had you moving towards, what has now been checked off the box, or what boxes have now been checked off, right? You should have some that have been completed or some that you moved further along. And then you might also have some that went backwards. You might have some, like a lot of the time, savings took a hit. And then now that you've sold, you get your savings back, right? So some things have jumped around.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is, where's the biggest hole? And based on the money that you have, that's your extra cushion now, how is that going to affect it?
Yeah.
How is that going to change that scenario? Or how is that going to help you progress? And here's the thing, usually it's not putting it all in one basket. Diversification, spreading it out and giving a little extra to each place And then if there's something that's completely empty that needs to be filled up, to be brought up, to catch back up, that's where we would put a big amount, but we'd never just put everything in one location.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my stocks have changed quite a bit. I mean, they're starting to slowly recover, but they, about a month ago, they took a deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that stuff happens. And that's one thing that I did want to bring up with the stock market, the way that it has been on a crazy roller coaster. Here's the thing to keep in perspective. If you are someone that's, even if you're someone that's, let's say 60, and you're looking to retire at 65, the market going crazy in this 1 month, think about how many months you have in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's 60 months, right?
Yeah.
One crazy month out of 60, not a big
No.
deal. Even if you had 12 crazy months out of 60, still not a big deal. The stock market is notoriously volatile, and right now it's been more so. It's been on stereo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So let me ask you. Go ahead.
But if you're looking at it long term, you don't have to worry about the craziness of that, because stock market recovers and continues to grow.
Yeah.
More and more people invest. And as long as you're not investing in super risky products that are things that could go from $100 to $0, if you're investing in companies that are stable and strong and well-known and mainstream, your portfolio is going to continue to slowly grow.
Absolutely. So what advice do you give to somebody who has not started to invest their money in anything?
Well, that's the thing. When you said you have a little cushion, no, when you said that like if you are someone that has a little bit of a cushion after making a move like you did, and you haven't yet started putting your money in investments, the definition of investing is putting your money somewhere that it's going to start to grow on its own.
Yeah.
Right. And so people are like,
sorry, Chris.
Well, so,
he says, Tanya,
no,
calling me out. No, I'm not calling you out. And well, so sorry, Chris. I want David to meet Phil. Phil meet David. They're both Texans. They're both in Texas. So there you go. We got Texas on the loose today.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, I interrupted you, Chris. It's Phil's fault.
No, you're good. So if you haven't started and you have a little extra cushion, you have a little extra money sitting somewhere, putting it in somewhere that it's going to continue to grow and work and do its own working, because you work hard for your money, but you want your money to also work hard for you.
Right.
And here's the difference between spending money and investing money. Spending money is just putting money into the hands of other people because you want something like a fancy jacket, fancy shoes. You want this crazy expensive suit, or you want fancy car, or whatever it might be. Something that's going to deteriorate in its value, or is going to be just 10 minutes of bliss and then it's gone. Type thing.
Yeah. Well,
that's spending money.
Yeah.
Investing money is putting it where it's going to make its own money, help it grow.
Yeah. Right? And I'll give you another example. And then I'm sitting here playing with the overlay, wondering if David and Phil, can you see each other now, or do you see each other now? Because depending on which way I do it, people in the chat can or cannot see each other. I'm going to leave it this way and see what the comments are. So here's one of the times where one of my lessons learned for me, because that's how I learned my lessons. I learned them the hard way. And it wasn't a bad decision. I had put some money into a long-term CD and I was getting, I don't remember, 6%, 5 something, like a year ago, not today.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I forgot or didn't realize is the taxes I had to pay on it when it, at the end of the year.
Yep.
Right. So again, it wasn't a stupid decision by any stretch. However, maybe it would have been smarter to put it somewhere else where I wasn't then paying taxes on that income that I made, that 5-6%. So
Exactly. So there's a couple of things that you want to think about, and I'm not going to go into crazy specifics, but there's going to be a tax drag. There's inflation that you also have to put into the equation. So if you look at something and you say, oh, I'm making 6%. Okay. So inflation is going to take off what? Let's just call it 3%. So you made 3 extra percent on top of inflation, which is awesome. But you're also going to pay taxes on the money that was made,
right,
which usually grades that about another 2%. So really, if you're getting 6% return, only making and pocketing about 1% of that.
right. Yeah.
Could be even less. It depends.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Right? Because it's all surrounded with taxes. So the reason I bring that up is you really want to sit and you want to think about what is the percentage rate of return that you need to have if taxes and inflation are both in the equation. Inflation is always going to be in the equation. So the only thing that you can avoid then is taxes.
Yeah, I'm not supposed.
So the
I'm not
question
sure
is,
I'm supposed to say this out loud on live. That's going to go all over the internet. But I'd rather not pay as. I don't want to pay. I mean, I pay my taxes, but I want to pay as little as I possibly can. And I suspect most people are the same.
which is fine to say, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to overpay on taxes if you don't have to. That's what, everyone's mentality surrounding paying taxes is it should be fair, and I don't want to give the government extra money
No.
if I don't have to, right?
No.
I'd rather live on it or put it in savings. So
the government's
there are
got a
ways
$40
that you
billion
can
jet right now that they're playing with. Sorry.
So the biggest thing is that you want to think about how can I be efficient with my money?
Mm-hmm.
Can I put it somewhere where it will, obviously it's not going to be, under the table and not getting taxed, but where can I put it where there's tax favorability? And there are vehicles that are completely legitimate out there that you can use. And what you should be doing is sitting down with a financial team, a CPA to talk to you about the tax implications, a financial advisor that can guide you to the options that you have surrounding the advice from your CPA. And then you probably are going to have someone that's helping you take care of passing your finances over when you pass away, like an estate lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you own your own business, you're probably you have a bookkeeper too. Like there's a lot of different people that play a role in your financial team.
Right.
And it should be a team.
Well, I do have an accountant that I trust, and I do have a financial advisor that I trust. And I know I have to now find somebody new to do my trust because I just moved states. And so, the person in California can no longer help me with the changes that have happened in my life. So that's on my to-do list, is to handle my trust, because right now it's not really valid, I guess. It's not.
Which means that 100%. And which means it's a good thing to say, who do you know that is an estate attorney in Oregon that maybe you can connect Tanya with?
There you go.
People out there that are listening.
Yep. Well, I don't know if you know this, but I have a client in Virginia that hooked me up with a really great personal organizer in Oregon. So if somebody from Virginia can hook me up with a really amazing personal organizer all the way over here in Oregon, someone's got to know a good trust attorney in Oregon. Yeah. Do you know that story with my client in Virginia that found me a personal organizer?
Yeah. I heard about that.
Yep. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Phil, David, any questions on money for Chris, throw it in the chat. I'm watching to see if you have any specific questions. Please throw them out there. It's important. I found something super interesting yesterday. For the first time, I coach quite a few people, and most of my clients are business owners. So we do talk about budgeting and we do talk about money, right? And one person yesterday shared with me they didn't want to talk about money or talk about budgeting because their belief in money, their relationship with money, is that it's the root of all evil. Now, I hear that all the time, just out of just conversation, but I've actually never coached anybody who so vehemently believes that. So it's going to be an interesting journey.
Yeah. I'd be curious to pick that person's brain as well. Everyone has a different mindset when it comes to money.
Yep.
Right. And I guess the question would be what makes it evil, and how can one manage that in life if money is needed for you to be able to eat and live and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, something went on, and I don't know, and no, Phil, I'm not calling you out. It wasn't Phil. Yes, that is accurate, Phil. Right there. Bingo. There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. See, everybody has a different perspective on money, different relationship with money. This one was just so interesting, it'll take some coaching to chip away at some of those perspectives. So I'm not saying any perspective is wrong. Where personal growth comes in is being open to look at other ones.
It's true. Yeah. And the interesting thing about what you just said about people have different mindsets around money. Everyone has their own take. Everyone has their own relationship. Just the same way that you have a relationship with me, it's completely different from the one that you have with Greg. It's completely different from the one that you have with Clark, right? We're all guys, but you have completely different relationships.
Sure. Yep.
Same thing happens with you and money. Money has a different relationship with every single person.
Yep.
And the question is that if you're really wanting to have a growth mindset surrounding money, the best thing that you can ask yourself is, what is my current mindset and relationship when it comes to money?
Yeah.
And I'm of the volition that whatever mindset we have is the one that we're going to ask for more of from the universe.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember, so I'm totally fine with giving myself as an example. When I quit my corporate job 3 years ago, with a very safe paycheck, health insurance, all that safety net piece was gone. I started my own business. I held on really tight to my money, like looked at it, wouldn't spend it. I'm sure if money was a person, the way I held on to it so tightly, they would have suffocated. Like they would have broke up with me and said, "You're suffocating me," kind of thing. And 3 years later, that's not the case anymore, right? And you've helped me with that, Chris, with letting it go and letting it grow, and all, you've got to give it space and water to grow. And yeah, I'm getting kind of metaphorically woo-woo right now, but it's true. Yeah.
And that's the funny thing, like, think of money as a person. And one thing that you said was, if I have a little bit of a cushion that I want to do something with, or you also brought up like the craziness going on in the stock market today. If you have a child that goes on a roller coaster and you're like, okay, you're going to wear a helmet, you're going to be wrapped in bubble wrap, we're going to make sure that that the technician has checked it out like 5 minutes before you go on this ride, that child will never enjoy the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to let go and trust that, everything's going to be all right. And remember, the ups and downs, those are in the middle. They're not at the beginning. They're not at the end. At the end and the beginning, you're flat, you're level, you're safe. And that's just part of the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking to a woman who doesn't like roller coasters. So yes, but and it is. I agree 100%.
And you have a daughter that loves roller coasters, and you have another one that will never go on a crazy roller coaster. So you've probably seen both.
Yep. Well, yes, and I want her to know the story. I remember, so talk about roller coasters. I was at California Adventure, Disneyland, whichever one has the Pixar Pier roller coaster that goes upside down 3 times and all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, in California.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that was like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I decided to be brave and go on it. Like, okay, I can do this. Why am I being a weenie? And I went on it. And yeah, no, they actually had to help me off the ride and put me in the elevator to get me on the regular part of Disneyland because I couldn't walk. It was bad. I can't believe I'm admitting this live, but no. That's where Anya and I are the same. It's like, yep. And then my other daughter, she'll go on it 6 times in a row and not feel a thing.
Yeah.
Which is where you land, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing when it comes to, like we were talking about this in relation to money, everyone has a different relationship with roller coasters. Everyone has a different relationship with money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so we can change it.
We can. And you tried to change yours and yours just got validated. But that's okay.
With money, it was like, okay, I can let go. I can start investing. I can start handing money over. But man, when I first started, left my corporate job, I held it so tight, like seriously. So yes, my relationship has changed over time. With roller coasters, no way.
And the interesting thing, and this can go deep, so I'm going to try and keep it away from going so deep.
Yeah.
But they say that when we're young, we go around with this mentality of being open or closed to people, right? So if you think of it like a door, when you're young, you start out with the door wide open. You go up to people, you trust them, you're very open to people, and you have a conversation with random people. And as you get older, the door either stays open or you have experiences that start to make it shut.
Right.
So much to the point where you can actually walk up to people with a shut door and you have to forcibly open that door.
Yeah.
When you talk about holding your money so tight, what you did was you shut the door to keep the money in.
Right.
The funny thing about a door is it's a two-way street. You have to have the door open for the money to come in.
Yeah.
As well as for the money to go out.
Right. Okay. That's good. That's a good metaphor. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great thought, right? I want to leave everybody with that today. And of course, Phil had to put the comment in what I would be like in a passenger side of a race car. Phil races cars, drives fast. So yeah, as long as I don't go upside down, like when on that roller coaster, I was totally fine thinking this is so fun. It's fast. We're doing this. I was fine until I went upside down. So as long as you don't crash and make me go upside down, Phil, I'd be fine.
Didn't you used to fly planes?
I did.
You didn't ever do a loop-de-loop?
Yes.
You did?
Well, you have to, I've never been upside down in an airplane, but you have to learn how to recover from a stall. So when you're in an airplane, the instructor will cut the engine and you go straight up until there's no more air going over your wings. And then the airplane stalls and goes straight down. And then you have to learn how to recover from that. So yeah.
Okay.
But there were sometimes when I landed the plane, I'd go to the car and throw up and then go in and pay for my lesson.
Nice.
But I was not going to throw up in front of my instructor. All right. So we're going to not end on me, but we're going to end on you and David. Huge point, Chris, doors open. Yes. And Phil, I'm okay with there being fun with money and I'm okay with saving money and opening doors and finding buckets for all of that. Right, Chris? It's not one or the other.
Yeah, just think about it like every relationship. It has to be a two-way street for it to be healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like we said with the door, it has to be able, in order for money to come in, the door has to be open so money can also go out. But if money is only ever going out, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if money is only ever coming in, that's a problem too. Because it means that you're not taking care of the things that need to be paid.
Right. Right. I'd want that problem for a while.
So,
but okay.
yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Phil. Chris, I enjoyed it. Next month, we'll do it again.
Sounds like a plan.
And if anybody wants to talk about financial planning one-on-one without me around, then contact Chris. And Chris, if you want to, either on LinkedIn or Facebook, you can go into this because this will post on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. You can always put your contact information in there for anybody. Okay.
Will do.
Okay, cool.
Sounds
all right,
good.
everybody, have a great afternoon. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Hold on. Let me end the stream.
Of course.